Well, hey guys, Mark here, and this is your Cornerstone Connection. I'm here with Rachel, who is working from home today.
Trying to work from home today.
So we'll be sure not to bother her. Well, hey, in today's reading, in our Bible reading plan, which if you haven't done yet, you can join us if you go to cornerstonemarshfield.com and you click on events and you go down to that 2023 Bible reading plan. You can click to join on there. It's all done through the Bible app. We'd love to have you join us. Well, in today's reading, we were in Genesis and we read the last part about Noah, right? Noah built, well, not the last part, but we read a part about Noah where he built the ark, right? And God gave him all these specific instructions on how to build the ark. And then we also read from the book of Matthew, we read a little bit about the Lord's Prayer and some different things that Jesus said, you know. But what struck me as I was reading this part about Noah is how specific the instructions were. Did you catch that? There was like this could only be this many cubits big. You had to do this, and there were all these very specific instructions that were there. Could you imagine if you were Noah? I would be very stressed. Like, what if this thing that's supposed to be 20 cubic feet, what if it's 19.75 cubic feet? Am I gonna die? Like, you know, this is very stressful, man. So I was thinking, okay, when's the time that I had like a series of set and intense instructions that I had to follow? And so recently, Rachel and I, we went off with Rachel's parents. We went to the Mall of America because there's no better way to celebrate Christmas than through good old capitalism and commercial. On Christmas, we drove up to Mall of America. We were there for a few days, and one of the things that we did there was an escape room. Now there is an escape room, super fun, by the way, right here in Marshfield that we've done there.
We've also done.
Yeah, we've done that as well. And it was a ton of fun, a ton of fun. And yet there are a lot of very, very specific instructions that you have to follow when you do an escape room. Rachel, when did you say it got the most intense for us in an escape room?
Well, I mean, because there's different times where you just feel like you're kind of at a dead end. And then you look up at the camera, because there's always somebody watching you do it, and you're like, hint? Can I have a hint, please? Please?
That's what Noah did. Noah got stuck. He looked up and he said, hint, please. Maybe. I don't know. But it was like at one point we're like yelling these instructions back and forth because a number would drop off in one room and you had to go put it into like a different room, and we're like, it's 26, you know, and then you're just getting like frustrated.
And they also, escape rooms are timed. And
this is true.
On the wall is like a countdown, and so you're like, we have 4 minutes left. And the last one we did, the scenario was that we were trying to break out of jail, and like the lights started going crazy, and there was like noise.
For a second, I thought that I was actually in jail, and a lot of things happened. I won't tell you about that, but it was a lot of fun. In fact, in that last escape room, it was funny because in the middle of all of these details, there was this really important part that kind of got forgot, as a matter of fact. So we're there, we're opening the things, we got out of the jail cell, we're going through it, doing all this stuff, but there's one box with the piece, and we need it, and it's inside of the box. Like, literally, we cannot get out of jail without getting the piece inside of this box. We've done all the specific rules. Like, we were very meticulous. I mean, maybe not Noah meticulous, but I was very meticulous. I'm sorry, not me. It was a team effort and whatever. I was very meticulous, and we were going through this, and the key that we needed for the box is we were doing this other family, great guy and his wife and their daughter was there, and there was a key that was right on top of a mirror, like all this complicated stuff, but the key that we needed, the most important part, was just sitting out in the open in the middle of everything.
And the funny part was the guy who missed it was like 6'8" or something crazy, and he didn't see. It was like well under his eye level. Like, none of the rest of us would have been able to see it, but he totally could see it, and he was like, oh man, I missed it. It was right there.
In the middle of looking at all these complicated details, the most important part, the key to it, that was actually right out in the middle of the open, was actually in danger of being missed. You know, Noah had a lot of details. And when Jesus talks in Matthew, he goes through some of these things like fasting and different things that are very, very detailed. And yet, people run the risk of missing the key to it all. The key to it all that's just kind of out there in the open. And so here in Matthew chapter 6, he goes through, talks about, not being anxious, right? He talks about the Lord's Prayer, right? And you've heard all the stuff about prayer, but and yet, in the middle of it all, we're missing the most important part, which is God, right? It's God. In the middle of all these prayers, Jesus warns them, don't pray like the hypocrites, where you're going up and you're doing this to be seen by lots and lots of people, but you're missing the key. You're missing the most important part of prayer, and that is, who are you praying to, right? You're praying to God. And so throughout the Lord's Prayer, Jesus brings his disciples' attention right back to the one they're praying for. He says what? He says, most holy, he said, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Right? Focusing up on God. He talks about your kingdom come and your will be done, right? Instead of going to God with this grocery list of stuff, Jesus starts off by remembering how awesome God is. And he praises him first. And then he goes in and he says, give us this day our daily bread. And this chapter concludes with this really cool section about don't be anxious about everything. Because when we do things the wrong way, when we skip that key that we need, boy, it's just like us. We were pretty anxious in that jail cell, in that escape room, and we had exhausted every other option, but we couldn't get that box to open because we missed the most important thing, and that was the key. As we go into 2023, there's a lot of really important things, right? There's a lot of puzzles to be unsolved. There's a lot of things to do. And yet I think it's important that as we do that we don't lose sight of the most important thing, and that's Jesus. And making Jesus the center of our 2023. And that's exactly what Noah did. Noah kept God the center. In the middle of all those complicated instructions, Noah trusted God. And he did. And what to say at the end there of that chapter, he did all that God commanded him. And he was blessed for that. So that was awesome. Hey, I hope that this year you can keep Christ there at the center. And we'll do that too. And I'll start by being quiet and letting Rachel work. So have a great one, and we'll see you next time.